Live. Well, hello guys. I'm DonDoli. I'm gonna be playing Knytt Stories for you guys. It's my favorite game. Well, it's more of a tool than a game, really. It's a program that lets you create your own levels. And there's a ton of really awesome levels out there. In fact, one of the best ones I ever played was released just 2 weeks ago. LB Chips Hooray Fun Time. Even though the game is like 13 years old. So that's pretty cool, I think. The level I'm playing today is Deep Freeze by Untitled. It's a really fast-paced, glitch-heavy run. It's gonna be quite a challenge for me to commentate everything. I'm gonna be interested to see how that goes. So before we get into it, let me at least explain what the category means. So you may have seen me when I did this level for the last ESA, the ESA Summer 2020. And the category I did then was almost glitchless. I ran through the level pretty much as intended. Clocking in at just under an hour. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have the pure any %, which is a very silly run that takes about 4 minutes. This one comes in somewhere right in the middle. A good run will be about half an hour. And what we do is, all the glitches are allowed, but instead of heading straight for the end, we collect all the things, all the collectibles that normally would be required to get to beat the level, which are the golden creatures, or the GCs, as we call them. So I'm gonna run around this big level. It's like a level with 5 major areas that all have branching paths, and at the end of each path there's some golden creatures to collect. That's a very simplified overview. I'm gonna run through the level, get the 50 GCs, and then get to the end. So with that said, let's jump into the run. Deep Freeze by Untitled. And there it is. So this level has a cool, unique gameplay mechanic, which are these delayed teleportation arrows. Let me just say immediately that the author painstakingly went through the whole level, putting death tiles into the walls all over the place. There's a few spots where we can abuse some things that he overlooked and some other glitches, but if you're wondering why I don't go into the wall all over the place or just go out of bounds everywhere, it's because in most places it wouldn't work. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works right here with the first arrow. So when I get to it, I press down to activate it. There's a little delay during which I can move. Then it teleports me, like you see, a set distance in the direction that it's pointing. And if that would be into a wall, then I would normally die. So at the start of the run here, we're heading towards this like intro tutorial area. Here I grab the umbrella power-up, which is a toggleable power-up. It makes me move a little bit slower, but it makes me float through the air, and like in vertical winds like this, I go upwards. So it's quite useful, but you want to use it as little as possible. So yeah, this area with like the cyan background is the intro tutorial area. I pointed out because we're going to be back here much later on, actually. It's quite a complex area. Because there exists like different versions of it, different universes depending on your progress in the level and whatnot. There's a post-game area or post-game version of this area that we're going to get to and reap the benefits of quite soon. So normal gameplay is about over. On the next screen, I'm doing a setup to position myself right where there is a little gap here. Now I'm out of bounds, doing a setup against this wall. This is a void screen, so this is what it looks like when screen doesn't have anything in it. This is taking me to that post-game area of the tutorial, which is why the game is like throwing power-ups at me. Here I'm gonna do another glitch with this warp here, like that. I activate it at a specific point with downwards momentum, which puts me through the floor and onto the ceiling above. There's no death tiles here because there's no teleportation arrows. Some screen wrap or screen transition abuse here to get another post-game version of a screen to get another power-up. I don't get the second power-up there because it would set a flag that would lock me out of part of the level. But I got the climb upgrade, which is what I'm really after, and that was the intro area. And here I get the first GC. So that's 1 down, 50 to go. Or 49 to go, rather. So yeah, having climbed this early is incredibly broken. It's supposed to be the very last upgrade that we get right before the end of the level. So being able to climb walls now, just 2 minutes in, it's going to break apart the entire level. So I'm heading towards the Gale Chamber here. It's like the big hub area in the beginning of the level. When you play this normally, you're supposed to spend quite a lot of time here, but we're kind of just passing through. I'm gonna grab this GC here because it's right on the way. Oh, needs to take out the umbrella. That's what depths look like. Then I'm gonna go up to this area up here. This is an area we could do pretty much whenever we want because of warp shenanigans. But I'm gonna do it now because it's the only spot that I feel is easier the fewer power-ups you have. It's got this wind mechanic and it's quite a challenging area actually. Yeah, from this tutorial we have climb and double jump early. Having double jump now is really nice because as I teleport into a wind, I immediately use my double jump, which accelerates me to full speed. Immediately instead of, you know, slowly. So that's quite neat, I think. Alright, this section where I go down is where it gets a bit tricky. Now using my double jump. See, if I didn't have the double jump power up there, I would have been fine. Alright, so I'm going to get the GC on the next screen here. And now I'm going to do a very important sequence break. So I'm heading towards a sort of post-game secret area. And it's quite obvious that the author didn't put as much time quality control checking the post-game stuff because I can just jump into this wall here. And this is what State called wall swimming. So when you're inside a solid wall, the game reverses your controls and slowly pushes you upwards in an attempt to put you back on solid ground. Since I have climbed, I have full control of this, so I can go along the edge of the wall here. And that will take me to this teleport warp here. You can see 40. We're supposed to need 40 golden creatures to access this. I only have 3, so we're going to get here quite early. And that's very handy for 2 reasons. The first reason is that it puts me at the very top of the map. In void screens, it's very easy to fall down, but it's quite impossible to go up, so that's going to be useful. Second reason is that it puts me into this red area, which is kind of a strange area where you lose all your power-ups one by one. Since you're not supposed to have climbed yet, you don't lose climb though, so I can just climb out this chute that doesn't lead anywhere, and I'm out of bounds again, just to go along the ceiling, just to speed up this area. The reason it's useful that it removes all my power-ups is that in the very next area, it's going to give me all the power-ups back. Or in this case, it's going to give me all the power-ups for the first time, since I don't have most of them. So that's really handy. We're going to be at ending area really early, and we're going to get all the power-ups so we can breeze through the collection of the rest of the GCs. It's a very important sequence break, and the run would not be possible without it. Since I have climb, I can grab this double jump for free while I wait for the teleportation or transition to happen. And since I have double jump and climb, I can get the umbrella for free, and then I'm gonna go down here to get my run ability back because we don't want to be without that very long. I'm gonna do half of this screen as normal, and then I'll be able to just skip the second half since I have climbed. And up here I'm gonna get the hologram power up, which is an interesting power up, also toggleable. Basically, any object or enemies that have behavior dependent on your position will think that your position is wherever you put the hologram instead of wherever you are. It's not invulnerability in any sense, but like this guy, this blue guy, he would fall on me normally, but since I said hollow, he didn't see me. And there I get the high jump upgrade, which is nice. It's the last upgrade, so we're fully equipped now. And we are entering the very large area known as the Trench, which is like the gauntlet of the end game. A massive area with a bunch of... Ooh, that's not gonna work. A bunch of branching paths that each lead to a GC. You spend a lot of like the end of the game. So you spend here, and now I'm doing out of bounds. Bit of a precise timing there. So yeah, this is the first section. I get into the wall immediately, and then I'm gonna get to enter it from behind. quite convenient. That's 5 GCs. So that was that section, and then we have this section. Gonna get out of bounds on this screen as well. Quite a surprising out of bounds. Surprising thing for the offer to have overlooked, I would think. Right here, I can get into this wall without dying, and then I can travel across the top. Once again, enter from behind. Through this wall swimming way. You can only go where there's actual graphics in the wall, because that's the only place where it's solid in this level. Get that guy, I need Hollow to get him. There's a section above me, but we're not gonna go there. I'm gonna get that GC some other way. Instead we're gonna go this way, and we're gonna collect what's supposed to be the very last GC of the level. It's right before the block that requires you to have 50 GCs to pass, so that you can reach the very, very end of the level. It's a very large level. But we're not interested in the ending, we're just gonna grab this guy and then head back out. Now I'm on my way to the right side of the trench, where I'm going to perform another out of bounds. This one is quite different, it's very precise and a bit difficult. Luckily it's very easy to retry it. Okay, I got first try with a little setup there, that's quite handy. There we teleport into a death tile, but because of downwards momentum and post-teleportation iframe shenanigans, we have just enough of a window to get through. We're traveling on top of this log section here. We're not going to enter it, we're going to enter this screen, which is just further ahead of the section where I went out of bounds in the first place. A bit finicky to get inbounds here. And then we're going to do the rest of the section, well, not as normal, because even though this is very close to the end of the level, we're still not supposed to have climb. So like for here, for example, I just sit on top of that wall, and yeah, it simplifies and nullifies a lot of the puzzles. Though some things are pretty much as normal. It's a pretty tricky run to commentate, because a lot of you, I'm sure, have never even played this game, and so you're not familiar even with the most basic concepts, and this is quite a complicated level, and I'm doing a lot of glitches. So hopefully I'm not stuttering too much, and the run is enjoyable, even though you maybe don't understand exactly everything that's going on. Alright, so that's the end of this section. I'm gonna get this GC here. Hopefully it doesn't shoot me, that would be lovely. And then we're gonna do the exact same out of bounds that I just did. If I can get first try again. There you see that. Even though it looked like I did the same thing, it didn't work that time. So once again, we're on top of this log section, and once again, we're not entering this section. The log section is quite fast, we're gonna do it as normal. Instead, we're gonna fall past it and go into a much larger section beneath. And this section actually has a GC midway through. Luckily, we get inbounds here very close to it, so we're just gonna backtrack a little bit. That usually works in practice, even though I don't understand why it would. Better to just sit hollow like that. But I get the swag in the marathon. Here's the GC. Looks like he eats me, but it's fine. And then we're gonna go forward and go through the rest of the section. So this next screen has another like out of bounds skip. It's not really out of bounds, but it's through out of bounds. You can do this without the climb upgrade too, but it's much easier with it. I'm gonna activate this arrow and then just go to the top of the screen here, and since it doesn't put me in a... oh, I didn't set off. Since it doesn't put me in a wall, like I go through the wall and get onto the ground, that's why that works. Alright, the screen is quite complicated. Cool, that was that section. So now we're gonna go do the logs. And then there's supposed to be one more section after the locks, but I'm not gonna do that one either. We're gonna get that GC some other way. And this lock puzzle is pretty cool, because the locks, you need to get all the keys to open the locks, but the locks also act as your platforms, so you gotta like find the correct order of doing things. So we're gonna get the red key now. The red key does more than just open red locks. In this level, it's actually used as a flag to see sort of what universe you're in, to keep track of like your progress. And the offer didn't anticipate you to get the red key and then backtrack all the way we came from. And if you do that, then you're gonna get to the side of a screen that you're not supposed to be on, the right side of the next screen. You're not supposed to be able to be there in that universe. So if I exit to the right, I'm in the void again. And that's why it was so important for the sequence break to put me at the very top of the map, because first of all, there's no other way to get to the top of the map. And then now that we're done with the top of the map, I can float down to wherever I want to go next. And where I want to go next is a very large area known as the Revolver. I'm going to go to the end of one of the major branches there. And that branch also has a GC in midway through. But luckily, we're going to be able to get that GC some other way. I used to count screens here, but yesterday I realized that I have a map, so I don't have to worry about that. It's quite a dangerous screen we're dropping into, and if I die, I have to redo all that falling, so I sort of played it safe here. Alright, so now we're in the Revolver, and this has like a screen wrap mechanic, and since we're here, we're gonna do this section right here, just because it's exactly next to where it put us, so I'm gonna run through this part. Revolver is really like the most puzzling section. Again, to reiterate, I'm not supposed to have climb and a lot of other things, so a lot of this is going to be very unintentional. This strat is just big brain. It's not using any glitches or anything. Whoops. Vanilla. Oh yeah, I didn't make it. So this is another skip. One screen skip that's very precise on the timing, but there we go. Alright, and now there's a lot left of the Revolver. There's a lot more sections, but we're not gonna bother doing that now. We're gonna come back here later. So we're heading out, and now we're back out sort of where we started in the Gale Chamber, this big hub area. And now that I have all the power-ups, we're gonna do a lot of cleanup and collect a bunch of GCs that I ignored earlier. So we're at 20 right now, 21, and I'm gonna head up to a new area called Panel Partition. We're gonna clean this up real fast. So each one of these screens, even though it looks like I'm just, climbing up and getting stuff, emphasis on the climbing, each one of these GCs is a challenge and puzzle in itself. Pretty much each one of the screens. It's a really cool level that way. Much credit to Uti Junior. Over here and grab this guy. That's definitely not a toast. That would be silly. This next section, there is a skip for it, but it's brand new and I haven't practiced it yet, so we're just gonna, well, first we're gonna do that apparently. Yeah, we're just gonna run through the slightly longer way. one more guy over here. This guy's pretty dangerous if you give him enough time, but luckily we can reach him before he does anything. I can do this like warp zone. Okay, I'm not supposed to go under there, but sure. I'm gonna go get some GCs down here. Yeah, that screen just completely nullified the puzzle like many other screens. Okay, the screen after this has just a ridiculously difficult strat, which I'm gonna go for some reason. And I got it, which I can't believe. I don't normally get that first try even with no pressure, so that's neat. Now we're going into an area called the Creeping Corridor. It's kind of a complicated area. First I'm gonna just get this guy here for free, and then there's a recent route change, so we're gonna go down here first. And here we're going to see gates like this. Going through the gates changes something. You see it removes the spikes, but it also removes my hologram power-up. So it's like you have to solve the puzzle without the hologram in order to progress, but I'm going to be able to abuse that. Oh, I didn't. Usually I would fall in doing that, but okay. So on the next screen I'm going to do a rather complicated glitch, but the end result is that I keep my hologram when I'm not supposed to. Right here. So now I'm not supposed to have the hologram, but I have it. So that's going to, again, simplify, speed up a lot of screens. Like here I'm supposed to be dodging these guys while the slow teleportation happens, but since I have holo, that's not an issue. And here I'm going to do a thing where I abuse the hitbox of the arrow. You see, I grab the arrow even though an enemy is on it. You're not supposed to be able to do that. I'm gonna be doing that a lot in this section. Basically this screen is normally very complicated, but not anymore. So yeah, basically the top of the hitbox of the arrows, like they protrude a little bit more than the enemies that guard them, so if you know what you're doing, you can grab it. Got a little bit of RNG right here. Okay, that's good. Up to this section. So here I'm going to do the same thing with the arrow hitbox abuse. I didn't get it that time. There we go. Don't like those spikes there. But some screens it's not worth going for, or it doesn't make much of a difference. The screen is unchanged since day one. This next screen though is much simpler because I can just jump up to this switch here and then grab this arrow before the enemy gets to it. And this screen has a cool strat. Alright, I'm gonna get another GC here, midpoint GC, that's 32. Completely nullify the puzzle in this screen, like so. Alright, it's going quite well. This screen is... Oh, I managed to... Okay, that's an interesting trajectory. This screen is... I'm also doing pretty much as intended. Give you a taste of the sort of puzzles that are made in this level. Well, intended, except that I climbed this wall just to position myself a little bit better. And then I can just jump up and get that guy. I'm not supposed to be able to jump that high, so I don't have to worry about luring him down. Got this RNG again, but very good. And we're heading out where they got one more guy to grab. Alright. On my way out of here. This guy up here. Alright, and now you may have heard me say throughout the run that there's a lot of sections that I've ignored and like saying that we're gonna come back to them later and whatnot, or get them some other way. And like, how am I gonna get GCs some other way than where they are? Well, that's why we're heading back to the tutorial intro area now, because in the tutorial there's a part where the game sort of taunts you by showing all of the GCs trapped and then like removing them from you. And you're not supposed to be able to access those GCs, but tutorial area, the cyan area, it's kind of broken. So I'm gonna go out of bounds right here. And then I'm gonna use screen transition magic, and now I'm on the ceiling. So the area below now you're going to see like holes in the walls. So like these holes, that's where all the GCs would be showcased, but in a different universe, not in the universe we are in now. However, you see on the side here, there's like an opening on the wall. So if I drop through here, here are GCs. So I'm gonna collect a bunch of them, and each one I collect here is basically a section that I don't have to do. So that's quite nice. And you may have noticed I missed one of them. That bird we're gonna get for free later, so it's not even worth spending a second going for it. Now there's only one area left, and that's Revolver, and that happens to be right here. So just with the way things are localized on the map, we're able to jump into this area here. So this is quite a complicated section, probably the most puzzling section, maybe the hardest to follow and hardest to explain. It's gonna be a lot of manipulating enemy positions to hit switches. That's sort of the name of the game here. And even though I have some powers to simplify and skip certain parts of the puzzles, a lot of it I have to do normally. Cheeky little strat here. Get past that guy. There are these like in between sections that look like this, and those tend to be much more broken with the power-ups I have. Alright, this screen is long. I'm gonna hit this button from beneath, which can be kind of wonky. Okay. Yeah, Revolver, that's the area of the screen transition. If you didn't notice. Screen warp, rather. Screen wrap, it's called, I think. Alright, so now... Oh, right, I gotta activate the water. So now I'm going into the screen with some GCs. This is quite a dangerous screen. I'm gonna try a very fast strat, and I got them without them killing me. Very nice, very nice. That puts me back out here. The section I just did was going down on the screen. Now we're gonna go to the right and do this part. Got a lot of these. Did I not grab the arrow? This part, which got a lot of the these white spiky blocks. I love this strat on this screen, so as a magician I'm going to make the middle bar disappear. So the reason that works is because it had those orange tiles above it, and the button removes them, and the game basically just says remove stuff here. So by timing it so that the bar was there at the same time as I removed it, it not only removed the... oh shit. Oh, I survived. It not only removed the orange blocks as it was meant to do, but it also removed the spike block that was over it. Now this part going up, even though we're going to do everything pretty much as not as intended, it's still quite a challenging area. Like the skips are not much easier than normal gameplay. Okay, it's awkward safe to start from. Okay, I'm going to a furl start like so. I'm fast on the next screen, I can do an out of bounds into the screen above. So that's what I'm going to want to do here. Here's the bird that we're gonna get for free that I didn't get before, and this is quite a dangerous screen. Nice snipe. Let's do like that. Okay, get away from the water. There we go. And that's 50 GCs, that's all of them. So now we just need to get to the end. We're just quite far away, so why am I heading back where I just was, you might wonder? I just did this. Streamer forgetful. But no, really, on that screen before I said we're gonna get out of bounds into the screen above. That out of bounds is actually quite useful. So I'm gonna head straight back there and do it again. Remain outside, and then I'm gonna jump up here, and now we're in a very different looking area, and this area has got lights coming from the ceiling indicating that we're getting close to the surface, because yeah, we were underwater this whole time. So this is actually the end of the level. We're right around here. Oh, it's gonna be like 30 exactly. 30 minutes on the dot. That's actually quite a good run. It's like 15 seconds from world record or something. That went quite well. Shoutouts to Glipperall for finding a lot of the strats and a lot of the out of bounds in this run. He's the champion of strat finding for this level, definitely. Shoutouts to him. Shoutouts to Ultijonio for making an amazing level, truly an incredible level. Yeah, it's a very broken level, sure, but the only reason it's so broken is because it's so ambitious and so complex. It's just a marvel to play with or without glitches, so big shoutouts to him. And big shoutouts to Niflas for making the stories, of course. And let me give a shoutouts to my boys as well. Straight Flame, Helvetia, Talps, Shreeps, Katya, IX Marcel, Vegetal Gibber, Frangrip, Drakan, and Braj. Shoutouts to you guys. If you're interested in this game, maybe it looks interesting to you, a good place to start for be it blind playthroughs, speedruns, level creation, or even a randomizer. A good place to start is ksruns.com. It's where we have our independent leaderboards for all the levels made. And there's a resource page with a bunch of links and downloads and stuff. You know, you could ask me directly too. I don't mind. Find me on Twitch under DonDoli. While you're there, you might, drop me a follow if you're looking for more channels to follow. But that was the end of this run. I hope you enjoyed. Quite a glitchy mess, but a lot of fun to me at least. Hopefully it was a good watch. I'm going to be back on Sunday, speedrunning a different 2D platformer. Until then, there's going to be a ton of great runs. So stay tuned to GSA and enjoy the marathon. Thanks for having me.